and those behind you look to you as some beacon of hope, you have one answer in response. You see, as a paladin, you choose not to walk through the valley of the shadow and death, but instead opt for the passage of arms. How's it going, Warriors Delight? I'm Myth, the Lalfair with Ziggs rather than Zags, gives his accommodation to physical range DPS and tanks Makote like he's running a cat sanctuary, often resulting in premature enmity generation. And today is the day I beat off a dead horse. What the fuck did I just say? Fuck it, I'm leaving it in. And today is the day I beat a dead horse, reviving my Why You Should series and going deeper than ever before. So if you're sat there enthralled by job panic and are genuinely seeking guidance from this very wise, very cheeky little Lalfell, look no further. Days of Vault, mother. Here's why you should play Paladin in Final Fantasy XIV. Like fucking your way through a family tree, it's always best you start at the beginning, and every PC Paladin you see in Final Fantasy XIV started their journey to retaking Constantinople as a gladiator, a great entertainer in the city of Uldar, which has got to be the single greatest bloody joke I've written in this script, because anyone who finds those first 30 levels as gladiator entertaining definitely claps when a plane lands. Side note, stop doing that. Of course the plane is back on Earth now. What goes up must come down somewhere, and that's about as far as I'm going with that joke. I want to at least make it to a play button before I get cancelled. After suffering through 30 levels but being about as average as a suburban white woman collecting crystals for their healing properties, you get your paladin jobs done and the real game begins. You see, for centuries, the elite of the Sultan Sworn have served as personal bodyguards to the royal family of Uldar. Known as paladins, these men and women marry exquisite swordplay with stalwart shieldwork to create stellar combat uncompromising in its defense. Clad in brilliant silver armor, they charge fearlessly into battle, ever ready to lay down their lives for their liege. To be a paladin is to protect, and those who choose to walk this path will become the iron foundation upon which the party's defense is built. As a walking, talking crusader reference, you make use of a sword and shield and have decently strong burst damage as well as many range attacks, because spreading the word of your holy spirit need not only be done up close. It also offers a powerful set of targeted and raid-wide mitigation tools, making your presence in a statics application cause for the occasional lip-by. Your rotation revolves around a powerful buff, the poorly named Fight or Flight, because trust me, anyone who pops this beauty and opts for flight, I have it on good authority you can legally hit them with a bus. It's a 25% damage buff for 20 seconds, and you should absolutely be using it to buff big hits like Goring Blade and Confiteor. On the defensive side, Paladin has access to powerful raid mitigation and single target mitigation tools, able to significantly lighten the load on healers, though you really shouldn't these days, as healer toolkits are about as comprehensive as a magic wand. You can also fill in the many gaps you'll find in your core tank's defense, whilst having access to unique run-saving tools like Clemency and Cover, alongside an emboldened passion to smash that subscribe button to further this Lalafell's journey on YouTube. No pants! The resource for your not Jesus but still kinda Jesus self is a mixture of MP and the off gauge. The off gauge being this thing here that looks like far too many first time tattoos I've seen, and it indicates when you have your tank stance toggled on, which as tradition dictates you should ignore between the levels of 30 to 50 at the start of every fucking dungeon run, because if you don't give that mentor hero a chance to passive aggressively shout tank stance at you mid-pull, you're not playing the game right and you should probably consider taking up Minecraft. After unlocking Sheltron, it will also show you accumulated oath, which you gain by landing auto attack. At level cap, oath can be spent on 3 defensive cooldowns. Holy Sheltron, reducing the damage you're taking to the face by 15% as well as your resident healer's typical resentment levels. Intervention, which reduces someone else's damage by 10% for 8 seconds, whilst giving them an ever so tender heal, because you weren't man enough to play main tank and off tank afford you opportunities to lightly caress the face of the real man in the group. And Cover, taking all the damage intended for someone else, mainly saved when the idiot Reaper tries to soak the tank mechanic with you because your fucking static leader likes to recruit from the short bus. Hallowed Ground is your in case of high damage break glass button, rendering you impervious to most attacks, which is a description about as vague as the known circumstances surrounding F-Spin's death, and OGCDs like Circle of Scorn and Expiation provide you with a brief but satisfying moments of devastating fuck you, kinda like when Leah Kate low-key slammed her ex in that incredibly catchy song that trended for a while. Hitting your 1, 2, 3, do, re, mi, don't fuck with me generates 3 stacks of sword there to make the poor fucker atone for his sins, and a divine might buff which empowers your next holy spirit. And if you're not already convinced to take up the sword and board for the incoming beach holiday, don't worry that pretty little head, because I've saved the best reason for that. You see, when shit hits the fan, all else is lost, and those behind you look to you as some beacon of hope. You have one answer in response. You see, as a paladin, you choose not to walk through the valley of the shadow and death, but instead opt for the passage of arms. That's right, motherfucker. Ain't no one hurting your babies whilst you're still holding that sword and board. Raise your shield and huddle those little fuckers behind you for 100% block rate, a dick-defining 85% damage reduction to your favourite little cuddle cunt, who don't ignore the giant blue wall emanating from your massive nut. For its duration, they'll take about as much damage as they might from the occasional fart during head. And if you think you can name a cooler ability than this in the entire game, you can't, but don't worry, I'll let you be wrong. And for those of you who are like, wait, he's criticised Paladin non-stop in several of his earlier videos, how the hell does this Lala get off being this hypocritical? Well, that's a valid point, guys, and I'm going to activate my Ultra Instinct for a brief moment to give you an extremely valid reason that leaves no room for arguments that only cool people can hear. You see that, and as you can see, that really has left no more room for questioning my stance on the matter. I'm glad we cleared that up. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Smash that subscribe button if you hope to one day get behind this Lalafell's passage of arms, and click this, because for some reason YouTube thinks it's the best video to show you. And who are we to ignore our corporate overlords?